We arrive at a school, where lies a deceased woman. The present people are impressed by the resolution of a mystery. They claim it was an enigma that would never be solved, all thanks to the outstanding student of the school, that incomparable and powerful student named Ron. We observe Ron, a completely transformed person, though the figure in the photo from those more decent days is still recognizable. Ron declares his intention to use his skills to become the best detective. Changing scenes, we see Toto attempting to ring Ron's doorbell. It seems Ron was already eagerly awaiting him and opens the door. In response, Toto is startled and ends up on the floor. Ron greets Toto, and Toto assures him that Kiku asked him to come check on him. The first thing Ron does is ask if he has any unresolved cases. When Toto denies it, Ron is disappointed and drops to the floor with a lack of enthusiasm. It seems he was very disillusioned. He expresses to Toto that he feels completely useless, that he is denying his passion for solving mysteries, and wasting Blue's greatest talent. Ron explains that Blue is the best school in the world for training detectives, and he was considered a genius from his first day. However, Ron faced a problem at that school. Despite his talent and being the best detective, all his suspects died during practical classes. This led to Ron being blamed and the decision to expel him from the school and revoke his detective license. Ron asserts that this license is crucial for solving the most complicated cases, and if he were to exercise it again, he would be sentenced to death. Toto is surprised and asks how this is possible if he helped investigate the previous case. Ron responds that he had no other choice and has already decided that Toto will be his facade to solve all cases again, even if it means Toto gaining reputation at the expense of his cases. Ron makes it clear that Toto will be his puppet, hiding his identity at every crime scene they visit together, and he will instruct him on what to do at all times. Additionally, in unusual moments, he states that he wishes to communicate with the deceased to pay his respects. Toto argues that everything is impossible, to which Ron responds that it's true, since Toto hasn't brought him any cases. Toto tells Ron that he would love to work on more relevant cases, but his superior doesn't assign him that type of investigation. Ron then asks him about his boss. So, Toto shows him a picture of her. Ron remarks that she is very attractive, and Toto tells him that one of his colleagues is very much in love with her. Ron praises his colleague's good taste and compares him to himself, saying that he always seems melancholic when he talks about her. Toto tells Ron about how terrifying his boss can be. For instance, earlier when he was in the office, a case came in of a deceased person near a river. Toto expressed interest in participating in that investigation, but she categorically refused, with a malevolent and somewhat compulsive attitude. She personally assigned him a case, and Toto was deeply frightened by her reaction. Ron comments, impressed, that it's surprising she has an exclusive folder of cases for him. But Toto laments that they are minor matters and quite trivial. The assigned case turns out to be of little significance, and Ron deduces that it's practically impossible to solve. He claims not to understand how the case made it to the office. It's a complaint about a piggy bank missing money, which seems impossible to Toto that Ron would be interested in such a mundane matter. Ron quickly gets up from the floor and changes into a very unusual suit, supposedly to not stand out so much. Although it turns out to be quite the opposite, she claims that she has to take on the cases that no one else wants, which is why she holds the highest qualifications at Blue. They then head together to the scene of the case. Changing scenes, they arrive at the house where a young woman opens the door for them. Toto introduces himself and Ron takes on the alias Cheatmoro. The first thing Ron, or rather Cheatmoro, notices is a suitcase that he mistakenly assumes to be the piggy bank. He proceeds to open it, but the girl clarifies that it's just a suitcase. Cheatmoro asks her why such a large suitcase, and she explains that it belongs to her sister, who has just returned. Cheatmoro takes the piggy bank and is surprised to see how golden it is, in addition to not having a rubber valve, making it impossible to extract a coin from it. He then mentions that he got all that information from Toto's cell phone. It turns out that the sisters were absent from home for 2 days, and upon their return, she noticed that the piggy bank weighed much less. Upon checking the area, Cheatmoro ends up with his mustache stuck on a jewelry box. Toto is impressed because Cheatmoro actually doesn't have a mustache. Cheatmoro asks Toto if he finds it strange that they took the coins and not the jewelry. The girl responds that they've received suspicious calls recently, so they always lock the door. Upon hearing this, Cheatmoro drops to the floor and declares that he gives up. He explains that with that piggy bank and locking the door, it's a completely impossible crime. He then drinks his sugar syrup. At that moment, the dark-haired sister arrives, and Toto takes her statement. She mentions that she's been at her parents' house since the day before yesterday and thinks her sister is imagining that the piggy bank weighs much less. Upon hearing this, Cheatmoro decides to consider the case closed. However, the initial sister insists that the piggy bank weighed as much as a metal bar. Immediately, Cheatmoro makes a strange gesture with his hair. So, he suggests breaking the piggy bank, and they agree. Upon doing so, they find very few coins. Before Cheatmoro proceeds to count them, he warns them not to touch them, and that Toto will send everything to the forensic expert to look for fingerprints, while he goes for a walk. Later, Ron waits for Toto, and when he arrives with the news from the forensic study, he claims that only one of the two sisters' fingerprints were found. Toto asks Ron why he chose that meeting point to deliver this news. Ron asserts that he already knew that one of the sisters was present in the fingerprints. Toto goes upstairs and finds the body of the case that his boss had denied him participation in. He asks her what she's doing there, and she replies that she was examining the corpse. At that moment, Ron goes directly to the body. He explains to Mamila, Toto's boss, that it will be Toto who solves this case. He sits on the floor to speak with the deceased and investigate the case. Everyone is surprised by his unconventional method of doing things. He then hands a package to Toto and tells him that everything is already solved, and he will be in charge of the case. Toto asks the sisters to gather at the crime scene. Ron comments that he thought Toto's case was insignificant, as if assuming it was something more important. Mamila is stunned by this statement. Toto explains the situation with the fingerprints found on the piggy bank. The dark-haired sister claims that all of her sister's coins were then stolen, but the orange-haired sister insists that it's impossible. Toto explains that in a case like this, it can be easily resolved by buying a new piggy bank and transferring the coins. He presents a completely new piggy bank taken from his bag, emphasizing how easy it is to obtain. He argues that there were not fewer coins because they were stolen, but that a new one was bought and some coins were added to cover up the fact that it was broken. He then addresses the dark-haired sister as the culprit. She asks why he would do that if he could have simply admitted it. Ron suggests to Toto to calm down, as his voice is starting to break a little while making these claims. Toto explains the real reason why he hid the truth related to the murder by the river. He recounts what happened. The dark-haired sister returned home and the stalker was waiting for her. She fled, but he managed to get inside her house to defend herself. She used the piggy bank, which turned out to be quite heavy, to strike him on the head and thus kill him. That's why the piggy bank broke and the coins were stained with blood. She decided to buy a new one and add some coins she had in her bag, a reasonable move since only her fingerprints were on the coins. She then used the large handle at the entrance to transport the body to the river. This way, the mystery of the piggy bank was entirely related to the murder by the river. The orange-haired sister claims it can't be true, while the other girl maintains that it's exactly what happened. At that moment, Ron reveals his manic side and orders her to drown herself, arguing that someone who kills and hides a body doesn't deserve to live. His eyes shine with an intense blue, and the sister proceeds to carry out that action. Mamila tries to intervene but can't stop her. She throws herself into the river, and Toto follows to rescue her. We see Ron returning to normal and commenting that he did it again, but he's relieved that Toto managed to save her. Later, at the office, Mamila discusses the case with Toto and informs him that the girl will receive a lighter sentence since she acted in self-defense. She then asks Toto about the mysterious boy. Toto tells her he's just a friend. It seems that Mamila has special feelings for him. Afterwards, Toto returns to Ron's house to tell him the details of how the case concluded. But it appears that Ron was hoping for a new case. Once again, he is disappointed. At Blue School, we see the administrators discussing and commenting that it seems Ron has resumed working as a detective in Japan.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.